The morning began like any other on Earth. People went to work, children walked to school, farmers worked in their fields. Nobody knew that in just a few hours everything would change forever. It was the year 2347. Humanity had grown strong. They had built colonies on distant planets. They had ships that could travel between stars. For 300 years, humans believed they were alone in the universe. They searched the stars for other life but found nothing. Many people thought that perhaps humans were special. Perhaps they were the only intelligent beings in all of existence. They were wrong. At exactly noon, the sky above every major city on Earth turned red. Not the red of sunset or the red of fire. This was something different, something unnatural. The color spread across the sky like blood mixing with water. People stopped in the streets and looked up. Fear gripped their hearts. Then the face appeared. It was massive. The holographic image stretched across the sky, visible from Tokyo to New York, from London to Sydney. The face was not human. It had gray skin covered in small scales. Its eyes were completely black, like two pools of oil. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Primitive species of the third planet," the creature said. "I am High Arbiter Oran of the Galactic Council. We have watched your kind for many cycles. We have studied your wars, your hatred, your endless fighting against each other. You are violent, you are dangerous, and you are weak." Around the world, people stood frozen. Some fell to their knees. Others ran, though there was nowhere to run to. The voice continued, cold and without mercy. "The Galactic Council has decided your fate. You have 7 solar cycles to surrender. You will destroy all weapons. You will accept our rule. Your species will serve the Council for eternity. This is not a request. This is your only choice." The face paused. Something like a smile crossed its alien features. "If you refuse, we will sterilize your planet. Every human will die. Your cities will burn. Your history will be erased. 17 species have us before. None of them exist anymore. You will be the 18th. Choose wisely, humans." The image disappeared. The sky returned to blue, but nothing would ever be the same. In the hours that followed, panic spread like wildfire. Stock markets crashed. Governments held emergency meetings. Religious leaders called for prayer. Some people believed this was the end of the world. Others refused to believe it was real. But deep in their hearts, everyone knew the truth. The threat was real, and humanity had only 7 days. The leaders of Earth met in Geneva. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists gathered in a massive underground bunker. They argued for hours. Some wanted to surrender. "We cannot fight an enemy we know nothing about," they said. "We must protect our people. Survival is more important than pride." Others disagreed. "If we surrender, we become slaves forever," they argued. "Our children and their children will serve these creatures until the end of time. Is that really survival, or is it just a slower death?" The debate continued through the night. No one could agree. Fear and anger filled the room. It seemed like humanity would spend its final days fighting among themselves, just as they always had. Then Admiral stood up. She was 63 years old. Her hair was gray, her face lined with age, but her eyes were sharp as steel. She had served in the military for 40 years. She had fought in 3 wars. She had buried friends and enemies alike. When she spoke, her voice cut through the noise like a knife. "Enough," she said. The room went silent. "I have listened to your arguments," continued. "Surrender or die. Those seem to be our only choices, but you are wrong. There is a third option, one that has been waiting for this exact moment for over 200 years. She pressed a button on the table. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed files marked with the highest level of secrecy, files that most people in the room had never seen before. "After the Third World War in 2089, humanity almost destroyed itself," explained. "We came within hours of extinction, but we survived, and our ancestors made a decision. They knew that the next great threat might not come from ourselves. It might come from the stars, so they prepared. She opened the first file. It was called Project Prometheus. 50,000 soldiers, she said, genetically enhanced, stronger, faster, and smarter than any normal human. They have been sleeping in cryogenic chambers beneath our mountains and oceans for over 2 centuries, waiting. She opened the second file, Project Aegis. Battle machines controlled by human minds, 50 meters tall, armed with weapons that can level cities. We have 10,000 of them hidden across the solar system. The third file appeared, Project Helios. A network of satellites around the sun. They can focus solar energy into beams of pure destruction. One shot can destroy a fleet. We built them in secret. No one outside this room knows they exist. The leaders stared at the display in shock. Some could not believe what they were seeing. Others felt something they had not felt in hours: hope. For 250 years we have prepared for this day, said. We hoped it would never come, but it has, and now we must answer. She looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. Her voice dropped low, but everyone heard every word. The Galactic Council thinks we are weak. They think we are primitive. They believe we will surrender like all the others. They are wrong. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not beg. When someone threatens our home, our families, our future, we fight. We fight until our last breath. She pressed another button. Across the world, in secret bunkers and hidden bases, lights began to turn on. Machines that had been silent for centuries started to hum. Screens flickered to life. Wake the sleepers, Admiral commanded. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, a cryogenic pod opened with a hiss of cold air. Inside, a man's eyes snapped open. His name was Cole. He had been asleep for 258 years, but his body was still perfect. His mind was still sharp, and his purpose was clear. Around him, thousands more pods began to open. The soldiers of Project Prometheus were waking up, and they were ready for war. The Galactic Council had sent Earth a threat. They expected fear. They expected surrender. They expected humanity to fall to its knees. Instead, humanity chose to stand. The battle was about to begin. Commander Cole took his first breath in 258 years. The air was cold and tasted like metal. His lungs burned as they filled with oxygen. Every muscle in his body screamed as blood began to flow again, but did not cry out. He did not show pain. He had been trained to endure far worse. He sat up slowly and looked around. He was in a massive underground chamber carved from solid rock. The walls stretched higher than he could see. Thousands of cryogenic pods surrounded him, arranged in perfect rows that disappeared into the darkness. Blue lights blinked on each pod as they began their awakening sequence. A young soldier approached him. She wore the uniform of the United Earth Defense Force. Her name tag read Lieutenant. Her hands were shaking slightly. Understood why. She was looking at a living legend, a ghost from the past. Commander Cole, she said, her voice barely steady. Welcome back, sir. Admiral is waiting for your briefing. Nodded and stepped out of his pod. His body moved perfectly. The genetic enhancements had not faded during his long sleep. He was still faster than any normal human, still stronger. His mind could process information at incredible speeds. The scientists of 2089 had created the perfect soldier, and now that soldier was awake. As he walked through the chamber, watched his brothers and sisters wake up, men and women from every nation on Earth. They had volunteered for Project Prometheus knowing they might never see their families again. They had given up everything to become humanity's last line of defense. Now their sacrifice would finally mean something. The briefing room was cold and gray. Admiral stood at the center, surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth, the solar system, and the approaching enemy fleet. When entered, she saluted. He saluted back. Commander Cole, she said, I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. Just tell me what I need to know, replied. His voice was calm, steady, the voice of a man who had faced death many times and never blinked. Activated the display. Images of alien ships filled the air. They were massive, covered in strange symbols, bristling with weapons. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council delivered their ultimatum: surrender or die. Their fleet is currently holding position near Neptune. 3,000 warships, 47 different species. They call themselves the masters of the galaxy. They have conquered and destroyed countless worlds. She showed him images of the High Arbiter, the gray-skinned alien with black eyes. This is Oran. He leads the council. Our intelligence suggests he has personally overseen the destruction of 17 civilizations. He believes humanity will be an easy conquest. He thinks we are primitive and divided. Studied the images carefully. His enhanced mind calculated distances, analyzed ship designs, estimated enemy strength. What are our assets? He asked. Changed the display. Now it showed Earth's secret military forces. Project Prometheus is fully operational. All 50,000 soldiers are waking up now. They will be combat-ready within 12 hours. She paused. That includes you, Commander. You were the first, the prototype. You are still the strongest. Said nothing. He had never wanted to be special. He had simply wanted to protect his people. Project Aegis is also ready, continued. 10,000 battle mechs hidden across the solar system. Each one is piloted by a human consciousness linked directly to the machine. They are 50 meters tall and carry enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The display changed again, showing satellites orbiting the sun. Project Helios, our most powerful weapon. These satellites can focus the sun's energy into concentrated beams. One shot can cut through an enemy fleet like a hot knife through butter, but we can only fire it 3 times before the satellites burn out. Absorbed all this information in seconds. His mind was already forming battle plans, calculating strategies, identifying weaknesses. But one question remained. How much time do we have? 6 days, replied. The council gave us 7. 1 day has already passed. 6 days, it was not much time, but had worked with less. The enemy thinks we will surrender, he said slowly. They think we are weak. That is their mistake. We will not defend, we will attack. Raised an eyebrow. Attack, they have 3,000 ships. And they have never faced humans before. Turned to face her. Admiral, I have studied every war in human history. I know what my people are capable of. We are not like other species. When we are pushed, we push back harder. When we are threatened, we become dangerous. The Council sees our wars and thinks we are divided. They are wrong. Our wars made us strong. They taught us how to fight, how to survive, how to win against impossible odds. He pointed at the enemy fleet on the display. Those aliens have conquered species that surrendered, species that begged for mercy. They do not know how to fight an enemy that refuses to give up. They have never met humans. Around the underground base, the awakening continued. Soldiers opened their eyes and remembered their purpose. Engineers checked weapons that had waited centuries to be used. Pilots connected their minds to massive battle machines. The greatest military force in human history was coming to life. In orbit around Earth, hidden shipyards began to open. For 200 years, they had been disguised as asteroids and space debris. Now their true nature was revealed. Thousands of warships emerged from their hiding places. Ships built with technology the Council could not imagine. Ships designed for one purpose: to protect humanity at any cost. Cole stood before his soldiers as they assembled. 50,000 warriors, each one enhanced beyond normal human limits. They wore black armor that could stop plasma fire. They carried weapons that could punch through steel. And in their hearts, they carried something even more powerful: the unbreakable will of humanity. Brothers and sisters, said, we were created for this moment. For 250 years we have slept while humanity grew and prospered. Now we wake because humanity is threatened. The aliens believe they are strong. They believe we are weak. They are wrong. His voice grew louder, filled with fire. We are the children of Earth. We carry the blood of warriors who fought with swords and spears. We carry the spirit of soldiers who stormed beaches and crossed frozen mountains. We carry the dreams of every human who ever looked at the stars and refused to be afraid. The soldiers cheered. The sound echoed through the underground chamber like thunder. The council wants us to kneel, continued. We will show them what humans do when someone threatens our home. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. We fight. And we win. Above the earth, the enemy fleet began to move. High Arbiter Oran had grown tired of waiting. He would teach these primitive humans a lesson they would never forget. He did not know that the lesson was about to be taught to him instead. The sleepers had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. High Arbiter Oran sat on his throne aboard the flagship Eternal Judgment. The ship was enormous, larger than most cities on Earth. It had been built by the combined efforts of 12 species over 50 years. Its weapons could crack a planet in half. Its shields could stop a nuclear explosion. In 300 years of service, it had never lost a battle. Oran looked through the massive window at the stars. Somewhere in the distance was that small blue planet called Earth. In a few days, it would belong to the Council. Its people would serve as slaves. Its resources would fuel the Council's expansion. This was the natural order of things. The strong ruled. The weak served. It had always been this way. A servant approached and bowed low. It was a small creature from a conquered species, trembling with fear. High Arbiter, the servant whispered, the Council advisors request your presence in the war room. Oran waved his hand dismissively. Tell them I will come when I am ready. The humans can wait. They are not going anywhere. He allowed himself a small smile. He had done this many times before. 17 species had received the same ultimatum. Some had fought briefly. Others had surrendered immediately. All had fallen in the end. Humans would be no different. They were primitive creatures who had only recently discovered space travel. Their weapons were toys compared to Council technology. Their soldiers were soft and untrained. This conquest would be easy. Finally, Oran made his way to the war room. His advisors were waiting, their faces displaying various levels of nervousness. This annoyed him. Why should they be nervous? Victory was certain. Report, he commanded. Admiral stepped forward. He was a species bred for war. His body was covered in natural armor, and his 4 arms each ended in razor-sharp claws. They were the Council's elite warriors. They had never known defeat. High Arbiter said, we have a small problem. Oran's eyes narrowed. Explain. 3 of our scout ships near Earth's moon have stopped transmitting. We sent a patrol fleet to investigate. They have also gone silent. Equipment failure, Oran said dismissively. These things happen. With respect, High Arbiter, 6 ships do not all experience equipment failure at the same time. Hesitated. There is more. Our surveillance drones near the 4th planet have detected movement. Large movement, ships that were not there before. Another advisor spoke up. The humans are mobilizing, High Arbiter. They appear to be preparing for war. Oran laughed. The sound echoed through the war room. Let them prepare. What can they possibly do? They have a few hundred ships at most. We have 3,000. They have primitive weapons. We have the combined military might of 47 species. Even if every human on that planet fought us, they would not survive a single day. He leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed. This is what primitives do. They panic. They run around building useless defenses. They pretend to be brave. And then when our fleet arrives, they fall to their knees and beg for mercy. I have seen it 17 times. I will see it again. But Admiral did not look convinced. High Arbiter, I have studied humans. They are different. Different how? They fight, said slowly. Not just against us, against each other. Constantly. For their entire history, they have been at war. They kill millions of their own kind over territory, resources, beliefs. They have developed weapons capable of destroying their own planet, and they came very close to using them. Oran shrugged. So they are violent savages. This only proves they are primitive. Or it proves they are dangerous. Pulled up a holographic display. It showed footage from a surveillance drone. This was captured near Mars 3 hours ago. The footage showed a strike team, 10 elite warriors, the best soldiers in the galaxy. They were investigating a disabled ship that had been drifting in space. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the shadows. It moved so fast the cameras could barely track it. It was human, a single human wearing black armor. In less than 60 seconds, all 10 were dead. The human had killed them with its bare hands. It broke bones, crushed skulls, and tore through armor like paper. They never even had a chance to fight back. When it was over, the human looked directly at the camera, and it smiled. The war room was silent. Oran felt something he had not felt in a very long time, a cold sensation in his chest. He tried to ignore it. "One human," he said, his voice not quite steady. "One human killed 10 warriors." "Yes, High Arbiter." "That is impossible. Are the strongest soldiers in the galaxy. No single creature can defeat them." Looked troubled, and yet we just watched it happen. More reports came in over the next few hours. Each one was worse than the last. A supply ship destroyed with all hands. A communications relay station attacked and captured. Enemy ships appearing from nowhere, striking fast and disappearing before Council forces could respond. The humans were not hiding. They were not building defenses. They were hunting. "How is this possible?" Oran demanded. "Where did they get these ships? These soldiers? Our intelligence said they were primitive." "Our intelligence was wrong," admitted. "The humans have been hiding their true strength. For centuries, it seems. They built an army in secret, an army they kept hidden even from themselves, and now they have awakened it." Oran stood up suddenly. His hands were shaking. He clasped them together to hide his fear. "It does not matter," he said firmly. "They may have surprised us, but numbers do not lie. We have 3,000 ships. We have millions of soldiers. Whatever the humans have prepared, it cannot be enough." He turned to his admirals. "Move the fleet to attack position. We will not wait for the ultimatum to expire. We strike now before they are fully ready. Destroy their ships. Burn their cities. Show them what happens when primitives defy the Galactic Council." The fleet began to move. 3,000 warships, representing the combined power of 47 species. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. But somewhere in the darkness of space, Commander Cole watched them come. His enhanced eyes tracked every ship. His enhanced mind calculated every trajectory. And his enhanced heart felt no fear, only determination. "They are coming," he said quietly to Admiral. "Are we ready?" she asked. Looked at Earth, that small blue planet floating in the void. His home. The home of 8 billion people who were counting on him. He thought of the soldiers under his command, the pilots in their mechs, the crews on their warships, all of them ready to fight, ready to die if necessary. "We were born ready," he replied. "Let them come. We will show them what humanity is made of." The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the galaxy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. Some species should never be threatened. Humans were one of them. The 6th day dawned over Earth. The sun rose slowly, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. People around the world looked up at the heavens, knowing that somewhere beyond those clouds the enemy was coming. Some prayed, some cried, some held their loved ones close and whispered words of comfort. But humanity was not afraid, not anymore. Admiral stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, Earth's mightiest warship. Through the windows, she could see the enemy fleet approaching. 3,000 ships, dark against the stars, moving like a swarm of locusts ready to devour everything in their path. "All stations report," she commanded. "Prometheus forces are in position," came the reply. "All 50,000 soldiers deployed and ready. Aegis units standing by, 10,000 mechs awaiting orders. Helios array is charged and targeted." Took a deep breath. For 250 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. Now it was time to see if that preparation was enough. "Open a channel to the enemy flagship," she ordered. High Arbiter Oran's face appeared on the screen. He was smiling, confident in his coming victory. "Human Commander," he said, "have you reconsidered? Will you surrender and spare your people the pain of destruction?" Looked directly into his black eyes. Her voice was steady and cold. "I have a message for you, Arbiter, from the people of Earth." "And what is that?" "Awaken the battle." She cut the transmission. Across the solar system, humanity's forces came to life. The oceans of Earth parted as hidden shipyards rose from the depths. From beneath mountains and inside asteroids, thousands of warships launched into space. The Council had expected to face a few hundred vessels. Instead, they faced 3,000. Ship for ship, humanity matched their enemy. But that was only the beginning. The Aegis mechs activated. Massive machines 50 meters tall, each one controlled by a human pilot whose mind was directly connected to the machine. They moved with incredible speed and grace despite their size. Their weapons came online with a thunderous roar that echoed through space. And then the Prometheus soldiers attacked. Commander Cole led the first wave. His assault craft punched through the enemy lines like a bullet through paper. He and his team landed on the hull of a Council cruiser, their magnetic boots holding them to the metal surface. Cut through the hull with his plasma blade and dropped inside. The ship was filled with enemy soldiers. Hundreds of them. Different species, different shapes, all trained for combat. They raised their weapons and fired. Was faster. He moved like lightning, dodging plasma bolts and laser beams. His enhanced reflexes made time seem to slow down. He struck with fists that could crush steel. He kicked with legs that could shatter stone. One by one, the enemy fell. They could not track him. They could not hit him. They could only die. In 3 minutes, the cruiser was silent, stood alone among the bodies, breathing calmly, ready for more. "First ship cleared," he reported, "moving to next target." Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Prometheus soldiers tore through enemy vessels. Aegis mechs engaged Council warships in direct combat, their plasma blades slicing through shields and armor. Human battleships fired volleys of missiles that filled the void with fire and death. But the Council fleet was vast and they fought back hard. Human ships exploded. Soldiers died. The battle was brutal and merciless. High Arbiter Oran watched from his flagship, his confidence slowly turning to fear. This was not supposed to happen. These primitives were not supposed to fight like this. They were not supposed to be this strong. "Focus fire on their largest ships," he commanded. "Destroy them one by one." The Council fleet concentrated its attack. One human battleship, the UES Victory, was surrounded by 50 enemy vessels. They fired everything they had. The Victory's shields flickered and failed. Its hull began to crack. But the crew did not retreat. "If we die fighting," the captain said, ramming speed. The Victory accelerated directly into the center of the enemy formation. It exploded like a small sun, taking 12 Council ships with it. This was humanity. This was what they did not understand. Humans did not just fight to win. They fought because surrender was not in their nature. They fought because protecting their home was worth any price. They would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. Admiral saw that the battle was balanced on a knife's edge. Both sides were taking heavy losses. It was time to change that. "Helios," she commanded, "fire." Near the sun, the satellite network activated. Massive mirrors aligned themselves with perfect precision. Solar energy gathered, focused, concentrated into a beam of pure destruction. The beam struck the Council fleet like the finger of an angry god. 50 ships vaporized instantly. They did not explode. They simply ceased to exist, turned to atoms by heat greater than the core of a star. The beam swept across the enemy formation, leaving nothing but empty space in its wake. Panic spread through the Council forces. They had never seen a weapon like this. They had never imagined such power could exist. "Retreat," some captains screamed. "We must retreat." But Oran refused. His pride would not let him run from primitives. "Stand your ground, continue the attack." It was a fatal mistake. Cole had been waiting for this moment. While the battle raged, he and his elite team had made their way to the Eternal Judgment. They cut through the hull and fought their way inside, room by room, corridor by corridor. Anyone who stood in their way died. Finally, they reached the bridge. Oran turned as the doors exploded inward. He saw Cole standing there, covered in blood and ash but still standing strong. The human's eyes burned with determination. "Impossible," Oran whispered. "You cannot be here, my guards are dead," said. "Like your fleet will be soon, like your council's dreams of conquest." He walked toward the High Arbiter, step by slow step. "You came to our home, you threatened our families, you promised to enslave our people." Grabbed Oran by the throat and lifted him off his feet. "You should have stayed away." The battle lasted 9 hours. When it ended, 2,000 Council ships had been destroyed. The rest had surrendered or fled. High Arbiter Oran was captured alive, brought back to Earth in chains. Humanity had not just defended their planet. They had crushed the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen. As the sun set on that 6th day, the people of Earth looked up at the sky again. But this time, they did not look with fear. They looked with pride. They had awakened the battle, and they had won. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Representatives from 47 species sat in their chairs, but none of them spoke. None of them moved. They simply stared at the empty throne where High Arbiter Oran used to sit. The throne would remain empty. Oran was now a prisoner on Earth, locked in a cell deep beneath the Swiss Alps. The most powerful being in the galaxy had become a trophy of war. The doors of the Great Hall opened. Every alien in the room turned to look. Ambassador walked in alone. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, with gray hair and wrinkled skin. She looked fragile, harmless, but the aliens who watched her knew better. They had seen what her people could do. They had watched their greatest fleet burn. Walked to the center of the hall and stopped. She looked around at the gathered representatives. Some refused to meet her eyes. Others trembled in their seats. A few stared at her with hatred, but none dared to speak. "Thank you for receiving me," said. Her voice was calm and polite. "I know this must be difficult for you. 3 weeks ago, you believed you were the masters of the galaxy. You believed humanity was primitive and weak. You believed we would bow before your power." She paused and let the silence stretch. "You were wrong." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "Your fleet came to our home with 3,000 ships. You promised destruction. You promised slavery. You promised to erase us from existence." Clasped her hands in front of her. "Instead, we erased 2,000 of your ships. We captured your High Arbiter. We broke the back of your military in a single battle." One of the alien representatives found his courage. He was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 eyes. His species had been members of the Council for 10,000 years. "You were lucky," he said. "You surprised us. Next time." "There will not be a next time." His voice did not rise. She did not shout, but something in her tone made the alien fall silent instantly. "Let me show you something," she said. She activated a holographic display. Images filled the air above the Great Hall. Ships, weapons, soldiers, more than any of them had seen in the battle for Earth. What you faced was 10% of our military strength, said. We held back 90% of our forces. We kept our strongest weapons hidden. We wanted to give you a chance to surrender. You refused, so we showed you a small sample of what we can do. The images changed. Now they showed weapons that made the council representatives gasp in horror. These are planet crackers, missiles designed to destroy worlds. We have enough to turn every planet in your territories into dust. More images appeared. These are biological weapons, engineered viruses that can be designed to target specific species. We could release them and watch your people die while ours remain untouched. And more. These are reality bombs. We do not fully understand how they work. Our scientists believe they tear holes in the fabric of space itself. We have never tested them. We are afraid of what might happen. The representatives were frozen in terror. They had conquered species for thousands of years. They had destroyed civilizations, but they had never imagined weapons like these. Turned off the display, her expression softened slightly. We do not want to use these weapons, she said. We do not want war. We do not want conquest. Humanity has spent too much of its history fighting. We are tired of death. We want peace. We want to trade, to learn, to grow together with the other species of the galaxy. She looked around the hall, making eye contact with as many representatives as she could. But understand this. If any species ever threatens Earth again, we will not defend. We will destroy. We will hunt you across every star system. We will follow you to the edges of the universe. We will not stop until your species exists only in our history books as a warning to others. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper, but every being in the hall heard her clearly. You called us primitives. You were right. We are primitive. We are savage. We are brutal. For thousands of years we killed each other over land, over beliefs, over pride. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times, but we survived. And every war made us stronger. Every conflict taught us new ways to fight. You created an empire through conquest. We created ourselves through suffering. She straightened her back and lifted her chin. So here is our offer: peace, trade, cooperation. We will share our knowledge. We will help you advance. We will be your friends and allies, but we will never be your servants. And if you try to harm us again, we will remind you why our ancestors looked at the stars and did not see gods to worship. They saw places to conquer. The vote was unanimous. Every species in the Galactic Council agreed to humanity's terms. They had no choice. They had seen what humans could do when they were angry. They did not want to see what humans could do when they were truly unleashed. In the years that followed, humanity joined the galactic community. They traded technology and culture. They made friends among the stars. Some species learned to trust them. Others feared them, but all respected them. Commander Cole returned to Earth a hero. He was offered medals, titles, and political power. He refused them all. Instead, he returned to his cryogenic pod beneath the Swiss Alps. "Wake me if they ever threaten us again," he told Admiral before he closed his eyes. She promised she would. The Prometheus soldiers went back to sleep, waiting for a call they hoped would never come. The Helios satellites were repaired and upgraded, ready for the next threat. The hidden shipyards continued building, always preparing, never forgetting. Because humanity had learned something important during their long and bloody history. Peace was precious, but it had to be protected. And the best way to prevent war was to be so strong that no one dared to start one. High Arbiter Oran lived out his days in his cell, watched by human guards. Sometimes visitors would come to see him. They would ask what it was like to rule the galaxy. They would ask if he had any regrets. He always gave the same answer. I should have never threatened Earth. I should have never awakened their battle spirit. Some species are meant to be left alone. Humans are one of them. And across the galaxy, a new saying spread from star to star, whispered in trading posts and diplomatic halls, taught to children by parents who remembered the day the council fell. Let the humans sleep, for when they wake, even gods should tremble. It became a warning, a prayer, a truth. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as servants, not as conquerors, but as protectors, guardians, warriors who wanted peace but were always ready for war. And the galaxy had learned to respect that. Some lessons are learned through words, others are learned through fire. The Galactic Council had learned through fire. They would never forget.